name's Rebecca. This channel is all about affordable art for normal, everyday art lovers. I'm talking about buying second-hand, pre-loved, boot fair, charity shop, jumble sale art. I don't know why, but art is one of those areas that people seem terrified to attach an opinion to for fear of looking stupid. So I want to use this channel to bust the myth that the only art worth owning or buying is the super expensive kind. And while we're at it, there's a myth that also says you should develop your taste and understanding of fine arts before you commit to buying. Or if you haven't got time, you should just buy from galleries, gallerists, or consult experts, perhaps buy an expensive auction like Bonham's, Roseberry's, Christie's, Sotheby's. Also, buying affordable art, for starters, just allows you to experiment in a way that saving up for something really expensive doesn't. And God knows, I buy hundreds of pieces of art a month and I make mistakes. So I wouldn't want to be just buying one piece of expensive art, and the likelihood is making a massive mistake, an expensive mistake as well. And lastly, affordable art buyers make up more than 70% of the art market. Their average spend per piece over the last 12 months, can you guess, was £94 on average. Now, I thought that sounded like a lot of money. On my general selling average is something between £30 and 80 or 90, well, 80 or 90 pounds, but that's my top end. I sell a lot around the 20 to 40 pound mark. Now, I'm not an artist, I'm not an art expert or an interior designer, but I know the affordable art market very well from my years of working in it, and I know it's popular, I know it's growing. And more than that, when people ask me what I do for a living, and I tell them I'm an art dealer, firstly, they look a bit baffled. I don't take it personally. But then they really light up and they really open up because people love talking about art. I can see them instantly relax and they have heaps and heaps of questions. They want to ask me about what I do and about pictures they own or what they should do with things or what I would suggest. So, I know that there's a lot of people who really want to have a conversation about art without any pretensions, and come to me for that. But I know that the next time I see those people, the first thing they're going to say to me is something that's related to art, and it'll be something like they looked up Grandad's, maybe a family member died and left a load of pictures in the loft, or they inherited some pictures they didn't know what to do with, and they maybe looked them up on Google Lens to see if they were worth anything, or they did up that spare room that was a little bit depressing and needed some pictures going up in it, or they bought a picture as a gift for a quite difficult to buy for relative or a colleague who was retiring, and they didn't know what to buy for them as a gift, and art made a great gift. So I'm really happy when I promote art, we talk about art, we have this conversation. So just going forward, my plans for the content of this channel, should it survive after today, will be to bring context from the world of terrible art dealing. I'm not a great art dealer. It's not that, but I do it as a full-time job. I go up and down the country buying and selling art, sometimes delivering art. So firstly, I'm going to share any tips, trends, insights, anything that I can pick up and pass along, I'll share with you. Also, I want to make some before and after videos. So, for example, when I pick up art and some of it's mostly I buy art that needs something doing to it, I will do a before and after of what it looks like in its worst possible state. And then I'll show you what it looks like after I've cleaned it, changed a frame, changed a print, or whatever I've done to the piece. And sometimes you won't believe the transformation. Me too. I often can't believe it, but it's so satisfying to get into a piece of art, take that glass off, and then give it a good clean behind, the front of the picture, because that's always pretty disgusting. So you'll enjoy that. And then I want to bring some energy into what can feel pretty heavy when you're scrolling through looking for art online. So tips to help avoid buying fatigue and frankly being bored by your search. And I want to bring some fun, like the most surprising sales that I've ever made. There'll almost certainly be something about several years ago when I was doing this as a side hustle, but I still needed to make some extra money. I had a spare room that I was Airbnb-ing, and I had a guest turn up once who filled their car with art after they'd stayed a couple of days here. They were visiting some family in Hastings, but while they were actually in my house, they had a look around all the walls and they loved what they saw. So, things like that, you just can't make it up. Any other tales from the road when I'm out and about buying shenanigans, unexpected developments as they happen, disasters. I will share my disasters with you. You can learn from those, and other stories from the archive. So funny things, poignant things, selling art. It's got a lot of history. There'll be some provenance. There's always some stories, but they can only happen in the colourful world of buying and selling art. And then I also lastly want to use this as a place for show and tell. So I'm not here to sell. I sell somewhere else. I sell fine. I have a lot of repeat customers, and I hope that a lot of my customers will come here because I think it's something for them. But I really love looking at art, and even more than talking about art, I'm going to make a lot of the content here visual. And I hope that if I can get it organised, there'll be some way that you can also provide me with some content pictures you love of your own, what things look like your gallery wall in your house, so we can have sort of like show and tell. Each week, to get us started, I'll do a showcase around my own 2 front rooms in the hallway. So you can see what budget art looks like. It will be fairly bite-sized. People can come here and browse pre-loved art. They can get some inspiration, see what things look like on the wall, what sizes look like, what styles look like against each other. I've got a day room, I've got a night room. Then you can sort of begin to build a picture literally of what you can reasonably expect to find on sale. So that really is everything I want to say to start off with. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to come on to today's walk around. I don't want to talk over this, so I'm setting the walk around to music. If you've got any questions about any of the pieces in particular that you like, you can ask me in the comments. So if I'm still here, I'll come back next week. Thanks for watching. And now let's go into the gallery.